Welcome to our Premier League 2023-2024 season review. Another season has come and gone.
I'm on my way. You might work, but I work harder. You might fight, but I fight smarter. Might not be on top of the world, but hey, I'm on my way. You might fly, but I fly higher. You're so high, but
Barclays Premier League. I can't believe it's gone so quickly. Here we are, the end of another season. So in this review, we will be talking about how the season went for all four of our teams. Just as always, we'll put timestamps in the description. So if you want to just get to your team, fair enough. If you want to watch the whole thing, fair enough. Come on, stay along for the ride. So yes. So we'll be starting then with Brighton and Hove Albion. So James, Brighton this season, not quite as good as last season. Last season you finished sixth. But this season you have finished 11th on 48 points, a bit lower than last season. But obviously there's quite a few things that have happened this season at Brighton. But yeah, take it away, James.
Cheers. Yeah, it's been a weird one. Like after the hype of last season finishing sixth, getting Europa League, we knew it was going to be a tough season to follow. And to be fair, we started well. I think we won our first 3 out of the first 4 games we won. I think we were top at one point for at least a couple of days. And things were looking okay. And then I think just Europe hit us, and injuries to March, to Matoma, to Hinchelwood, to I think Pedro missed a month or so. Stupinyan's been out a couple of times and stuff. We've lost key players, and it's just not worked. I think to be honest, it happens to a lot of teams. I remember Burnley, West Ham, Southampton have played Europe, and the next season have faltered and stuff, because they just can't keep up with the demands. And it's not been a bad season, to be fair. It's been successful for a team that has played Europe for the first time. We won the group of death, as they call it. We beat Marseille, beat Ajax, beat AEK Athens, we beat Roma. Not in aggregate, but we still beat them on the second leg and stuff. So, I call it a fairly successful season. There's been a few lows. We finished below Palace, which is heartbreaking to say the least. And the departure of De Zerbi has shocked us all. I think I remember I was at work on Saturday. I had to look on my phone and seeing my Twitter blow up of like De Zerbi's left, De Zerbi's leaving, De Zerbi's leaving. I'm thinking, flipping heck, like what's happening here and stuff. And it seems like they've been in talks, him and Bloom, for months about next season. Will he stay? Will he go? And I think at the end of the day, they both couldn't agree on some fundamentals that would need to happen. And unfortunately, that has resulted in him going. I wish him all the best. I think wherever he goes, if it's Bayern or talks about potentially Forest, which won't happen. But wherever he goes, I wish him all the best. He's arguably our best manager we've ever had. I think that what he did for our club is next to none. Potter started the groundwork, but De Zerbi really got his into it and stuff. To have us playing the football we were playing, to play in Europe and to beat these big teams that, 20 years ago, we were staring bankruptcy and elimination from the Football League in the face. And now look at us 20 odd years on. I can't speak highly for him and stuff. It didn't help. We lost some key players, Caicedo, McAllister. Obviously that we didn't really replace them. I think Believer's a good player, but he, in the same way we bought Caicedo, he didn't come to the first team straight away. He had a couple of years to kind of get used to the system. But with Believer, it was like great deep end straight away, and he's played some good games. But I think next year, with a bit more time, whoever comes in, I think Kieran McKenna from Ipswich is our favourite to be manager. I don't think he should. I think he should stay at Ipswich for at least one season in the Premier League. He got from League One to the Premier League. Let him do a season there. I think talks of Russell Martin for Southampton, Farioli from I think Lyon, a French team. I think. So a few options, but overall it's been a good season. I think Pedro has been a quality signing for 30 million, absolute bargain. I think it's 20 goals in all competitions. He has been on his day. He's been great. It just needed a bit more ability over the whole 90 rather than a few key moments and stuff. I thought Luz Matoma was I thought he was a great player this season. Shame to lose him. Pascal Gross, once again, player of the season. It looks like he might go to Germany in the summer. If he does, he'll be the player we'll miss the most. I think, yes, Caicedo and McAllister are great, but we lose Gross. We've lost like the cog in our whole team. He can play right back, centre mid, cam. He can play anyone on the pitch and stuff, and he puts a shift in, so he'll be a big miss. Lallana's going. I wish him all the best. I think he wants to be close to our family, which is understandable. He's had a lot of injuries. Having Milner and Welbeck on extended contracts is fantastic. I think that'd be great. I think someone we should sign. This is a weird one, but Jordan Henderson, I think, is leaving Ajax in the summer. I would love him at Brighton. I think he'd do an absolute. Sorry, right one off. I put absolute shift into our team. I think he'd be great for experience for the younger ones, and I think he'd be a quality signing for free. He'd be a Lallana, he'd be a Milner. He'd play the games, he'd do his job and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next year. Some good players coming in here. We've already bought. I think his name's Awesome or something. Another Ghanaian. Not Ghanaian. Yeah, a guy from Africa. I can't remember his name. He looks really good. Few players on loan who are looking good and stuff. So overall, yeah, it's been a good season. I'm looking forward to next season. I trust Bloom. I trust our board, and bring it on.
Okay, yeah, short and sweet. Thank you, James. We'll see what happens with Brighton next season, whether you can get back in that top 10 like you were last season. Maybe a return of Graham Potter. I don't know.
No,
maybe.
I think he burned a lot of bridges going to Chelsea. I don't think the fan base would be very happy with it. I think he might have some unfinished business, but I don't think he'd be a popular one. I don't think Bloom will go back to him. I think he probably has an idea who he wants to bring in, and I trust him to bring the right person in. So,
all right, fair enough. Okie dokie. Would you either head off, James, or do you want to stay for a bit longer?
I'm gonna have to head off. Yeah, sorry guys.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you,
love
James.
Seeing you.
Yes.
See you in August for the predictions.
See you in a few months. Yes.
Great. For the bit, boys.
Hello.
All right. Thank you, James. Yes, he's back off to work. Very kind of him to take some time out of his work schedule to do his little bit on Brighton. So thank you, James. So yes, we will continue then with Newcastle. So yes, Callum. Obviously not quite as good as last year, where he's got top 4. Obviously, that was a big, huge season for you. So he's finished on 7th on 60 points, which is still a very good, solid season. Obviously not as good as last year, but there's a lot of reasons for that, which I'm sure you'll tell us all now. So yes, Callum, take it away.
I mean, yeah. When it came to the prediction video at the start of the season, I said I don't think we'll get Champions League football. I think I predicted us to finish 5th, and obviously we have finished 7th. 6 points behind Tottenham, who are in 5th. And I mean, that's only 2 wins, and we'd lost to Manchester United in the middle of last week. That could have changed everything realistically. If we'd have won that game, which in hindsight we probably should, had things have gone our way properly, then of course we would have been in the Europa League places, because we would have finished above Chelsea on goal difference. But as it is right now, we finished 7th. And assuming Manchester City win the FA Cup next weekend, come on City, Newcastle will be in the Europa Conference League at least next season, which is still, it's still a European competition. I know it's not the Champions League, but based on the projected pots and things and the teams who are in there, you'd imagine that we would probably be one of the favourites for the competition. Which would be another route of getting into the Europa League, the season after next, assuming we win it, and depend things like that. So I'm still fairly happy with the season. But like you say, I mean, it's a bit of a step down, but everybody knows that we overachieved last season getting Champions League. That was, no Newcastle fan in their sane mind will say that the finished article as a team. We're still obviously going through the early stages of the takeover, and we've still largely got the same squad that we've had for several years in relegation battles with Steve Bruce and different stuff like that. So, we are still getting ourselves up there. So 7th was a pretty decent finish. We did score the fourth most goals in the league this season. We scored 85 goals altogether. So, obviously that's fairly. I mean, we did score 8 goals past Sheffield United earlier on in the season, so I guess that helps the stats. We scored in all of our home games this season at St James's Park, so that's obviously quite something as well. Alexander Isak, 25 goals in all competitions, 21 goals in the Premier League. Just as I thought the Golden Boot would be close, and then Haaland goes and scores a hat-trick, right towards the end. But, I mean, I definitely hope he's someone we keep because, and he was even injured as well for, a few games sort of in the middle of the season. So imagine if he wasn't and, he was firing like he is right now, 21 goals in the Premier League, the first person since Alan Shearer for Newcastle to do that is quite an achievement for him. Anthony Gordon has been a revelation this season. When we first signed him from Everton in January last year, he didn't really hit the heights of the 40 million is not that much in today's market. But, he scored 11 and assisted 10 in the Premier League this season. So 21 goal contributions in the Premier League is quite good for him. Trippier, although he's been injured a lot this season, he's been out quite a lot for the back end of the season, still managed 10 assists. He was up there at the top before he was injured. Callum Wilson's our third top scorer still, and he was injured pretty much the majority of the season. He still got 9. I think now the main thing this season that we have to say is the injuries. We've been by far the team, and it's statistically proven anywhere you check. We are the team that had the most amount of injuries this season. We had long-term injuries to basically half of the squad. Nick Pope was out for months with his shoulder. Joe Linton was out for months. Barnes was out for months quite early into the fact that we signed him. Willock was out basically the entirety of the season. I think he played maybe a handful of times altogether. Lascelles and Botman both did their ACL around the same time, a couple of weeks between each other. Anderson had a sort of a long-term back injury. Murphy again with his shoulder. It's really weird because I've never seen so many injuries in a single season for a team. And I know that some of them were muscular, like Wilson's and stuff like that. But then some of them, like the shoulder with Murphy, and I'm fairly certain Wilson was out a lot because someone tore his pec by pulling his arm back or something in one of the games. And it's just really freak injuries like that. And that obviously has cost us. It's meant that players like, and obviously Tonali, Sandro Tonali, our £55 million signing from AC Milan. No one could have, well, apart from maybe him, could have foreseen the fact that he would have got a ban for betting offences. But of course, that is coming to an end during pre-season, so he will be back next year. But it's meant that we've had the opportunity to give 17-year-old Lewis Miley a run in the team for pretty much the entire season. From when Joe Linton got injured and stuff like that. And, for being 17 years old, I think he even got an assist against PSG. He's been a really good sort of player. But yeah, a lot of what ifs with the injuries is probably what I would say. If we had an entire starting 11 out injured, and a fairly good one at that as well, at one stage or another in the season. So there is that. We couldn't rotate. We couldn't rotate the squad. Players were injured. They were starting to make mistakes. Even people like Trippier, who's you'd expect to be Mr. Reliable, made a few back-to-back mistakes in games against Everton and Chelsea and stuff like that, and that cost us those games. And it is a shame that was kind of what happened to us in the season. Just very inconsistent. Like, I mean, that could be down to the injuries. It could be down to the fatigue. It could be down to a number of things. But we had massive performances again. I mean, I know it's only Sheffield United, and they obviously got relegated quickly. But 8-0, and we beat them 8-0 at Bramall Lane as well. We beat Spurs 4-0 quite recently. I mean, it's a bit of a fluke, and if Arsenal had won this game, then they would be the champions right now. But we did beat them. We did beat them 1-0 earlier in the season. We beat Chelsea in the league 4-1 earlier in the season. Villa 5-1. We made a massive, great comeback against West Ham to beat them 4-3. Beat PSG in the Champions League 4-1. That's probably the best game I've ever watched as a Newcastle fan ever. But then we lose games against Luton. We lose games against Nottingham Forest. We lose games against Bournemouth and Everton and teams that have been down the bottom end of the table. And it's like, how can you go there from competing and, beating Arsenal and having, one at least fairly competitive game against Liverpool and beating Chelsea and different stuff like this, and then going all the way down to lose there? And you'd have to imagine it's something to do with maybe the injuries, the rotation, stuff like that. I mean, I think I already mentioned, like in the mid-season review, the Champions League, we obviously got knocked out in the group stages, but that handball that was given against Liverpool against PSG in that second game just haunts me, because that was 2 points robbed, and if we had those 2 points, it would at least dropped into the Europa League, maybe have stayed in the get into the Champions League sort of last 16 or whatever else. And it makes it worse to think that PSG got to the semi-final and Dortmund are currently in the final, and they were in Newcastle's group. I'm not saying that they Newcastle probably wouldn't have got to the final like Dortmund have, but at least there was a possibility we could have progressed in a similar fashion to what they did. Again, on the mistakes that were made, Trippier made a mistake against Chelsea that cost us going through in the Carabao Cup. So again, it's small things like that have cost us big games, that have cost us progression. We had the group of death for the Champions League. Every single cup game that we had was probably the toughest fixture we could have been given. We had to beat Man United and Man City to get to Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, which we obviously then lost due to the simple mistake. And then, of course, we got to the FA Cup and we did lose to City again. I think that was sort of 2-0 when we'd sort of, kind of lost the season a little bit. But like I said, it's a season of what if injuries were different, if certain performances were different. We just missed out on Europa by losing to Manchester United in midweek, which we had a penalty. We should have had a penalty that wasn't given. Anthony Gordon missed yesterday's game because he has an injury sustained from Amrabat standing on his Achilles that he didn't have a penalty given for. Lots of positives, but obviously quite frustrating as well. Like I said, if City win in the FA Cup next week, we are still in a European competition. We can obviously fight on sort of next season. Already looks like in terms of transfers, maybe Lloyd Kelly and Tosin Adrabayo, maybe two defensive free signings from Bournemouth and Fulham. Michael Elise or Pedro Neto as a marquee signing on the wing is something that's been spoken about. And then quite recently, and apparently this was a confirmed thing, Aaron Ramsdale as goalkeeper from Arsenal to Newcastle, but I don't really see that one happening because of Nick Pope. I don't really know, but yeah, frustrating, but lots of positives to take. Bruno's obviously been really good. Isak, Gordon, Barnes, when he's been around, has been fine. Tino, Livramento has been a fan favourite this season. So yeah, hopefully we can avoid the injuries next season. We can kick on in the Conference League and have a bit of a good run in there. And, hopefully, like we probably would have done this season, keep up with some of the European chasers.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Callum. I agree. It's despite a slightly disappointing season, there's still definitely a lot of highlights and a lot of things to look forward to next season for sure. And I think he'll definitely be one of the favourites for the Europa Conference League. But like you said, if City win the FA Cup, you get Europa League.
No, so if Man United win the FA Cup, which is obviously hopefully unlikely,
yeah,
they will get Europa League.
Oh.
And so that means they'll be like, and then Chelsea get Conference League. That'll be the way it works. So if United win, then we don't get anything. But hopefully right. City will, and of course, and then we'll still get Conference League. But anyway, fingers crossed on that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Callum. Okay, then. So let's continue then with Arsenal. So Luke, you have finished second on 89 points. It's been a fantastic season for Arsenal. We can all agree. Back-to-back title racing seasons. With Man City. It's not nice, is it? It's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's yeah, I'm over it as well. Yeah, it's like that James Franco meme, isn't it? First time, but I mean, it's not your first time. This is back to back for you guys now. But yeah, 89 points. But City still clinch it, 2 points clear. But anyway, how are you feeling, Luke?
Yeah, I'm all right. Like I said before we started the video, sort of expected it to happen after the Villa game, but I'm still proud of what we've done because at the end of the day, we've dropped, 4 points in the whole of 2024, and 2 of them points are at the Etihad, so it's usually a good place to go and get a draw. But if you won that game, then we'd be champions right now. So
I think the Aston Villa game was a big decider
yeah,
as well. Yeah. But anyway, go on.
yeah. Well, both games home and away against Villa, they beat us twice. So Unai Emery's definitely got one back over us. It was sort of the reverse of last season, because last season we started off like a house on fire, and then fell off towards the end. This season we started off very slow, and then we've just pushed all the way, and there was only 2 points in it at the end of the day. And just like against Aston Villa, there was 2 games against Fulham. The first one at home, I think it was the third game of the season. They had a player sent off on the 87th minute, I think it was, and we were winning 2-1. And then they got a corner and managed to get a 2-2 draw despite having 10 men. So again, if we managed to hold on there, that would be the 2 points that would have got us a title. Another reason I think we started off slow was the Havertz experiment in midfield. I don't think that worked at all. And then second half of the season, you could say he's been one of our best players playing up front. I think Carragher said he compared him to what Firmino was like for you guys at Liverpool. And I thought that was a good comparison, because he wasn't really known for his goals, but his work rate and what he done bringing up other players into play. And just his all-round game was excellent. He finished on 13 goals and 7 assists, which I don't think anyone expected after his first 10 games at Arsenal. Everyone was expecting it to be a 65 million flop, which is what I expected as well. A good thing about this season is we got the Golden Glove. Well, Raya got the Golden Glove. Despite missing 6 games, I think it was. He missed 4 at the start of the season while Ramsdale was still in nets, and then obviously couldn't play home and away against Brentford because he's still only on loan. But including the clean sheets that Ramsdale got, we had 18 in all competitions, which is almost half our games. All competitions, 18 across the league, which is almost half the games. So big credit goes to the likes of, well, I think it's 3 of them mainly, Saliba, Gabriel and White, because we haven't had a left back really all season. That's really claimed it for their own. Another great point is we were unbeaten against the Big Six, which growing up, going to school with people that were like Chelsea fans, United fans, Liverpool fans, that was something they would always have over me because they would always beat us. But no, we've done excellent against them this season. I think Villa is the only team to get more points against the Big Six than we have this season, which is credit to them. And 8 points of those unbeaten games against the Big Six come against City and Liverpool, which are our 2 title rivals. So usually, if you win at home against your title rivals and manage to get a point away to your title rivals, you win the league. But we're obviously up against a super machine in Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. Player of the season, I'd say, has to go to Declan Rice, but I don't think we've had our vote yet. Usually the fans up vote for that. Again, his role at the start of the season was different to what it was towards the end. He was the number 6, whereas Havertz was the 8. And then once we started playing Jorginho as a 6, Rice pushed on as an 8, and he's finished on his 7 goals and 8 assists in the league, which is not what we bought him for, really, but he's been clutch. He had last-minute winner against Man United at the start of the season, last-minute winner against Luton. He's just been a big game player, really, and 100 million looks like a bargain in terms of when you compare him to the likes of Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, who cost more than him. It's a strange one with Saka, because I think by his standards he's been worse than he has been recently, but in terms of his numbers, he's had his best season at Arsenal with 16 goals and 9 assists. Can't really fault him. He's been the one player since Arteta's come in that's managed to stay in the team, and he's carried us at times. Another shout goes to Odegaard and then Trossard as well. Trossard's had a great season, finishing on 12 goals. He overtook Martinelli in the team, which I never thought would happen after I think Martinelli finished on 15 or 16 goals last season. He's had a very poor season by his standards. The front three completely changed, really, apart from Saka. So you had Martinelli and Jesus alongside him last season, now finished with Trossard and Havertz. And it seems to be working even better. I'm disappointed with how we finished in the cup competitions. Lost against West Ham in the Carabao Cup, I think it was. Obviously, Liverpool in the FA Cup, which we missed a handful of chances in that game. So I've no idea how we lost, but Liverpool come out on top. And then there was a Champions League game against Bayern Munich. A very underperforming Bayern Munich, who finished third in their league this season. And obviously, one player I didn't want to see scored the Emirates, as I've been used to over the last 10 seasons or so, managed to get his goal. But he didn't come away with any trophies at the end of the season, so all's well that ends well, I suppose. And
unless we win the Euros, of course.
I think he's too cursed. But yeah, that's all I've got to say, really. Just hopefully we continue with Arteta's transfer plans, like Havertz. No one expected him to come as good as he has, but whoever he brings in, I trust him to pick the right man. Funnily enough, we've been heavily linked with two Newcastle players, Isaac and Bruno, but I don't think we'll get Isaac. Bruno's got the release clause, so who knows what happens with that one. But yeah, I've still got a young squad, so I'm still very optimistic for the future, and I'm sure we'll win something big in the next 1 or 2 years. And yeah, I'm very optimistic.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Luke. Yeah, and fingers crossed Arsenal can have another strong season next year. Okay. Right then, so Liverpool, we have finished third this season on 82 points. 24 wins, 10 draws, and 4 defeats. 15 points higher than last season. Now, obviously, we can all agree last season we definitely was a season to forget for the most part. Finished outside the top 4 for the first time under Jurgen Klopp. So the plan was this season with some bunch of new midfield signings to get back in that top 4 and maybe win a trophy or two. And we redid that. So for the most part, I think it's been a very solid season, very good season. It fell off a bit towards the end, of which I'll get to. But I'm quite content. I'm quite happy, really. But obviously, I think there's a big talking point, which I'll get to. I feel like that's kind of just glossed over this season, really. But anyway, so like I said, for the most part, it has been a good season. I think we spent all season in the top 4. In a close title race with Arsenal and City till it slipped off a bit towards the end. But until like the last few weeks of the season, I think it was one of the most fun title races we've seen in a long time. Us, City, and Arsenal, all the three of us, like constantly chopping and changing. It was a very fun 3-way title race, and then it became a 2-way title race, which I'll get to. The new players that came in this season, of course, like with the midfield, they've all different levels. Like Szoboszlai, he started off really, really well. When he came back from injury, he just massive drop off. Don't know quite happened there. McAllister had a bit of a slow start, then second half of the season really kicked on, and I think he's become a really good general in that midfield. Wataru Endo, I love him. I think reminds me very much of Henderson. Brings a lot of experience. And he just values that midfield, and he just really gets stuck in. I really like Endo, and I hope he sticks around. Gravenberch, when he does play, he's good, but I think he's been more of a bench warmer. Quaheen Kelleher played quite a few games this season because Alisson had an injury spell, and he did really well. I think he proved that he's a really good backup goalkeeper, and he might go in the summer to go and play first team football at another club. So we've scored 86 goals this season. Conceded 41. And I think we've talked about this this season with Liverpool, that a lot of games this season, particularly the first half of the season, we weren't playing particularly well. First half, we just put in a really poor performance. We concede first, then the second half, we just turn it on and then start playing and then win the game. I'm sure there's a graphic that from teams from losing positions this season, games won from losing positions, we're like top by quite a bit, I think. So I thought that we can't keep doing that over and over again. That's going to catch up to us at some point, and it did. Sure. I'm just going to talk about scorers this season. Salah, despite some people saying maybe he's a bit past his best now, past his prime. Yeah, 19 goals this season. Yeah, quite a few penalties, but still, I'll take 19 goals for Salah, 12 assists. That's great. Nunez with 9. I'll get to Nunez. Gakpo with 7. Jota with 7. Diaz with 4. But assists are quite good. Trent and Robertson. Trent has 9. Robertson has 8. Jota has 4. Tsimikas has 4. That's very good. So yeah, it was looking like a very good season, an amazing season. And then halfway through the season, Jurgen Klopp announces he's leaving. Just the biggest bombshell ever. Like halfway through a season, the timing still doesn't. I don't understand. Maybe just because they didn't want it leaking. So halfway through the season, Klopp goes, "I'm going. I'm sorry. Goodbye." So massive bombshell, and we think, will that spur the players on? Could we send Klopp off with 2, 3, 4 trophies? And it was looking really good. And then, with about a month and a half left to go, the wheels just completely fell off. We went out of the FA Cup to Man United, a very disappointing loss at Old Trafford, despite the fact it was a very, very good game, but they got a last-minute winner. I hope City batter them in the final. Arsenal. Then we dropped out of the Europa League to Atalanta. I mean, we really should be winning the Europa League. The way we lost 3-0 at Anfield was so disappointing. We just caught an absolute stinker at Anfield, and then we couldn't turn it around in the second leg. So out the Europa League we went. We never won that trophy under Jurgen Klopp. That could have been a really good send-off for him to win the Europa League in Dublin, but it wasn't to be. And then with a draw at Old Trafford to Man United. And then there was 1 or 2 other games. We started to slip slightly out of the title race. And then we lost to Everton at Goodison 2-0. Oh, like the first time Everton's beaten us at Goodison in I think 14 years, something like that. Jesus. And then we've got all Everton fans giving it the big and saying, we've cost you the league. Only thing they've got to cheer about. So yeah. And then that was pretty much it. We were out of the title race, and that was very disappointing. But at the very least, we did win the League Cup in February against Chelsea. And yeah, everyone says it's a little Mickey Mouse Cup. End of the day, it's still a trophy. It's still a big final at Wembley. I say it's funny, the League Cup, isn't it? Everyone slags it off, but if your team's in the final and you just win it, you go mental. But if you're not in it, you go, it's just a stupid little trophy. Who cares about the Carabao
I
Cup?
personally wouldn't turn up my nose at winning the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, it's still silverware. It's still a final at Wembley. I think it's just because it's named after energy drink. People don't take it as serious, and it's anyway. So, and then all that became just sending Klopp off the best way we could. And yeah, we ended the season quite strongly with a few wins, and obviously yesterday with a 2-0 win at Anfield to send him off. Very emotional. It was a lovely send-off ceremony for Klopp. The banners and what this man's meant to Liverpool Football Club for the last 9 years. He's taken us from mid-table more or less back up to a title contending top 4. Winning the Champions League for the first time in 13, 14 years under him. Winning our first league title with him in 30 years. And yeah, there was a big argument that can be said. We should and could have won a lot more under Jurgen Klopp. But let's not forget the 2 seasons, I'm sure Luke now knows, the 2 seasons where we had 92 points, 97 points, 2 incredible seasons, and we didn't win the league. So if it wasn't for Man City, 115 charges, cheap bastards. If it wasn't for that, Klopp would have 3 Premier Leagues, and let's not forget other Champions League finals he's taken with us. But Darwin Núñez, we missed. I think he's top. We've missed chances. We've hit the woodwork so many times this season. Oh, it's a season of very high, some highs and quite a few lows too. But so players that have come through this season with other players being injured. Two youth players have broken through. I think Jarell Kwanzaa has proven he's got a lot of potential. Teaming up with Van Dijk as centre back, and Connor Bradley came into the fold, playing on the wing in defensive wings. He was really good. So I think going forward, they can be two very good young players. Harvey Elliott has had a really good season. I think a lot of even neutral fans would say, like, when he's on the bench, we're not playing as well. Like, get him on, Klopp, and he scored an absolute beauty against Tottenham a few weeks back in front of the Kop. So I think under the new manager, he might play a bit more. I'm not to say Klopp didn't like him, but obviously we've got a lot of midfielders to choose from this season. So anyway, and just a flash few things. Our record against the Big Six this season was quite poor. I think mostly just draws and defeats. Most of our wins this season were teams in the mid-table or lower. So we need to improve on that next season. We need a goal scorer because Salah's not getting any younger. He might be going in the summer. We don't know. Obviously, him and Klopp had that argument at West Ham, but I assume that's been cleared and water under the bridge and all that. But maybe Salah might go to Saudi. Well, I think he said he's staying for another year, but we can't keep relying on Salah. After Salah's assists and goals, there's quite a big dip. And Nunes, I think if he's going to stay, he needs to just stop hitting the woodwork and stop scuffing it and just start scoring goals. And of course, Jurgen Klopp's big farewell at Anfield yesterday. There wasn't a dry eye in Anfield. It was very emotional for myself. Him giving his speech and his fist bumps to the Kop. It's just what he's meant to us as a club. It's not, I don't think, can be replicated. And I think Arne Slot, who's been confirmed to be our new manager, I think he's got a tough job ahead of him, succeeding Jurgen Klopp. But best of luck to him. Of course, we'll all be behind him next season. And the question, next season is going to be interesting for us under Arne Slot. What will his tactics be? Of course, he plays a different formation, different style of play to Klopp. Is he another Ten Hag, or hopefully not, or can he pick up where Klopp has left off? We will see. Next season's it's a new era for Liverpool. So yeah, guys, that's all I've really got to say. I'm happy. I wish we could have sent Klopp off with one or two more trophies, but yeah, it's still been for the most part a very good season, and I'm happy we're back in the top form. Of course, back in the Champions League next season. So yeah, and Jurgen Klopp, farewell. Anything you guys want to add, or should we get to relegation?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say quickly, as much as Jurgen got, I think earlier on in the season, I think I got quite wound up by something Jurgen Klopp said. He can do that in interviews and stuff, but let's be honest. Over the last sort of near enough 9 years, he's obviously been a massive part of the Premier League, and it's not gonna be the same without him. So it's important even from a neutral perspective to acknowledge the work that he did and how where he put Liverpool on the pedestal. And like you said, Arne Slot coming from, I think it's Feyenoord, isn't it, in the Eredivisie? Coming from there is a big challenge. Could he be a Ten Hag and struggle? But Liverpool are in a better position than Man United were when Ten Hag first started, of course. But yeah, we'll see what the future holds for Arne Slot and Liverpool. But Jurgen Klopp deserves a nice little rest, and then we'll see what happens in the future for him. But I just wanted to finish by saying that.
Okay, all right. Well, next up then, we will go to the relegation zone. So very quickly, we'll talk about the three teams that got relegated this season. And funnily enough, the three teams that got relegated were the three teams that got promoted at the beginning or at the end of last season. So yes, Luton, Burnley and Sheffield, they've come up and they've gone straight back down. I think it's the first time in quite a long time all three teams that got promoted have gone straight back down. I think we can all agree probably the three weakest promoted teams in quite a long stretch, because usually one or two of them survive and then one goes down. But yeah, guys, obviously Luton, Burnley and Sheffield especially, 16 points, and Sheffield's goal difference minus 69. Jesus. So anything you guys want to say about Luton, Burnley and Sheffield?
I mean, the fact that Sheffield United only won 3 games all season is just it's awful, isn't it? Really, It's a shame about Luton. If there was any that I really wanted to stay, it was with that feel good, it being Luton Town, Kenilworth Road, being in the Premier League for them is massive. But to be fair, living where I live, because I quite far south, I'm literally 40 minutes away from Luton. So I would have liked for them to have stayed, for almost like a local team for me. But yeah, I've got friends who support Luton as well here, and they're all sort of quite upbeat about it. They know that they were going to struggle in the Premier League and stuff like that, and they're getting a bit of money for the fact that they where they finished and stuff. So I think it's going to help them going back down to the Championship. But yeah, I mean, I think we expected more from Burnley.
Yeah.
The way that they got 100+ points last season in the Premier League. We thought Vincent Kompany being a bit of a product of Klopp. Being a product of Pep and how having been managed by Pep and everything. But I guess what he was trying to do in the Championship last year didn't work for Burnley in the Premier League this season. Obviously, they've gone back down. So we'll see what the future holds for them. Hopefully, they'll be stronger in the Championship next season and be with a chance of coming back up.
Right, Luke, anything you want to add on the relegation zone? Or
yeah, just back to Luton. They've been really unlucky, really, because I know they've had some really tight games against the Big Six. I mentioned Rice's last-minute winner against them before, and I think they were 3-1 up in that game at one stage, so they were lucky to lose it 4-3. And they obviously got a draw against you guys. I think that was when Luis Diaz first come back in the team after the incident with his dad. And then City only managed to beat them 2-1. The thing with Luton is they've given it a really good go and they've played some really nice stuff, as I say. They just unfortunately had 17 better teams than them this season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come back up next season.
Yeah, I just echo you guys. Yeah, Luton have played some fun, exciting football. But yeah, not as much sympathy for me because I think their fans were just arseholes when we played them at Kenilworth Road. Some of their chanting was not okay. So yeah, no sympathy for me for Luton. Back down you go. At Burnley though, a bit surprising. Yeah, I think we all thought they'd do a lot better because they had a very good season in the Championship. But no, at Sheffield, yeah, I think we all knew Sheffield were going to struggle. 104 goals they conceded. I think that's a record. Wow. So we'll see. Maybe they can have a better season in the Championship. But yeah. Okie dokie then. Let's continue then with just go over the top 8, I guess, as you want to. The only reason I've done the top 8 is just so we can include Man United. Yes, their worst finish, I think, in quite a long time. 8th place. But anyway, yes, Man United 8th, Newcastle 7th, Chelsea 6th. Chelsea have bumped back up there, haven't they? Considering they've had quite a bad season for the most part until the last few games. Tottenham 5th, Aston Villa have got themselves top 4, first time, 30 years. They're back in the Champions League, or they've got so good on them. Unai Emery's done a very good job. Of course, Liverpool 3rd, Arsenal 2nd, City 1st. Any thoughts on the top 8, lads, or should we?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time that Newcastle have ever been above Manchester United in the Premier League era.
Hey!
That was a little something I didn't say earlier, but it's the first time we finished it. But I mean, we didn't finish on the same points as them, but obviously we had a far superior goal difference. But yeah, Chelsea very much came out of nowhere.
Sorry, Man United -1 goal difference.
Yeah,
it just looks so funny.
Such an odd number.
Anyway,
but Chelsea, Chelsea were 10th or 11th. The majority of the season we were saying how Pochettino had sort of come and been the same as Potter, and there were some poor performances. But I mean, I think we can contribute a lot of that Chelsea 6th place to one person. I don't know where would Chelsea be without Cole Palmer. Because he scored 20 goals alone. I know a lot of them were penalties and stuff like that, but he also contributed a lot of assists. And it'd be interesting to see if you'd taken Cole Palmer out of that Chelsea team this season, where they would have ended up. Because they spent 100 million on Caicedo, and he wasn't really very much cop. They spent 50 to 60 million on Romeo Lavia, and I completely forgot he played for them. Because I'm fairly certain he's played once or twice this season, maybe. I know they think he's been injured, but still. I think Tottenham's 5th place flatters them a little bit, because I know that back end of the season, they started to have a bit of a dip, and Big Ange started to get a little bit annoyed. Perhaps towards the end, he started doing a bit of a container Mourinho and talking about the club a bit and how the structure's not there and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how he progresses. But well done to Aston Villa. Emery's done a good job and got them up into fourth. So that'll be interesting to see how they're pretty much the Newcastle of this season. I would imagine probably overachieved in terms of Champions League, but did a good job. So yeah, shame City won the league again, but never mind.
Yep, of course, we didn't mention that. City now have won 4 leagues in a row. Premier League, it's a new record, isn't it? No other team's done that. Of course, Man United, Liverpool, and I think some other team, Huddersfield, like in the 1920s, I think. So I think won 3 times in a row. But yeah, obviously, Man City have set a new record. Great. Can those 115 charges get sorted out, please? Thank you. Yeah, the thing is, if they get found innocent, so many fans are going to go, "It's rigged. It's rigged." They've bribed their way out of that. It's so they can't win. They can't win if they get found innocent.
Some of those 115 have to be put against them, and something needs it. But then you were saying before, Klopp possibly could have won more titles. Maybe they'll be given to Liverpool by default because City will have taken away.
Arsenal might get
Arsenal,
2.
yeah, for the last 2 seasons.
Come on, Luke. We could get given 2 Premier Leagues each. Yes, yeah.
It's what's going to happen because Everton. How many points did Everton get deducted this season?
6, 8, or something like that.
I think it was 10. I think it was 10, and then they got 4 back.
Down, yeah.
Yeah, so that's just off 2. Oh, was it 1 charge? 2 charges.
115 for City.
Yeah, so surely
should have gone down to League 2.
They get charged for at least 10 of them, then that's going to be relegation.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll worm their way out of it. I think.
Oh, 100%. They will. They always do.
Yeah, just because they're worth billions, aren't they? They can just worm their way out of it, City. Anyway, corruption at the highest level, lads. Come on,
absolutely.
We must rise up. Right. Okay, then. So let's finish off then with a good old stats. The stats of the season. So we, as usual, we will go with goals, assists, player goals, and clean sheets. So I'll start then with goals. So the top goal scorers this season. I'll go from. I'll look like this. So Bukayo Saka, 16 goals. Jean-Philippe Mateta for Palace, 16 goals. Jared Bowen, 16 goals for West Ham. I'll get this right. Son Heung-min, 17 goals. Oh dear. Son Heung-min with 17 goals. Salah with 18. I thought he had 19. Oh, okay. Anyway, Salah with 18. Ollie Watkins, 19 goals. He's had a very, very good season. Dominic Solanke of Bournemouth, 19. Go on, lad. Phil Foden, 19. Callum will be proud. Alexander Isak of 21. Cole Palmer, 22. And, of course, Erling Haaland of 27. Any thoughts on that list, guys? I mean, Jared Bowen, Mateta, and Solanke, and Watkins, they can definitely hold their heads up high. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mateta's the one that's surprised me there. I know he was scoring quite a bit towards the end of the season, but I didn't quite realise he was on 16. For Mateta, that's obviously a great season. Watkins, I mean, Solanke and Watkins both on 19. If we're thinking England squad and we're thinking Harry Kane being the first choice, who do you want as backup strikers? Solanke's in with a shout of a possible call up there, and Watkins probably. I suppose Ivan Toney's not really. I mean, he had his ban and everything, but they've done well to get 19 goals.
Okay. I've just also seen 2. Chris Wood has 14 goals. Chris Wood, the guy who couldn't get a goal at Newcastle if he paid for it.
He did score a few for us. It's just that obviously he never really played. But he was. Okay. I liked Chris Wood as a third choice striker.
Yeah. And Nicholas Jackson at 14. Okay. Luke, do you want to do club goals, or have you got the Premier League app, or will your screen go funny again? Or?
Yeah, I'll just let you guys do the stuff.
Are you sure? All right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, Callum, do you want to go with the top 10 clubs with
Yeah,
goals.
but I can read it. Okay, top 10 club goals. Let's see, where am I? So actually, I think it's giving me. Oh yeah, okay. In 10th, Manchester United scored 57. Crystal Palace scored 57 as well, so same as Man United. West Ham got 60 goals. Tottenham Hotspur scored 74. You got Aston Villa on 76 goals. So obviously 19 of those came from Ollie Watkins. 77 goals for Chelsea, which again 22 of those came from Cole Palmer. 85 goals for Newcastle, as I said before, so quite a high scoring Newcastle season. 86 goals for Liverpool, so we were only one goal behind Liverpool there for the season. Arsenal scored a grand total of 91 goals this season, and then Man City a little bit clear at the top with 96. But of course, Haaland got 27 and Foden got 19, so that makes up a decent amount of theirs. But yeah, that makes up the club goals.
Okay, I'll move to assists. Assists are very. I mean, this won't take long because there's like 10 players all on 10 assists.
Yeah.
So we have who? I'll just go from. Oh my God, there's like 10 players. Okay, so if we have Odegaard, Trippier, Son Heung-min, Salah, Johnson, Pascal Gross, Anthony Gordon, Morgan Gibbs-White, Kevin De Bruyne, all on 10 assists this season. Not too shabby. I got my assist wrong because it says 10 assists for Salah, but I have 12 assists for Salah here. I don't know. Maybe it's not been updated properly. I don't know. Cole Palmer with 11 assists and Ollie Watkins with 13. So Ollie Watkins leading the Premier League with assists. So he's had a very good season, Ollie Watkins.
All right, 19 goals and 13 assists.
All right, Callum, do you want to finish off then with those nice, clean bed sheets?
With those lovely clean sheets. I love changing my bed sheets. Wait, sorry. So anyway, sorry. All right. Well, I'll go. I suppose I'll go by.
Oh my God!
Unless you want me to do.
I've just seen who's first. Jesus, I'm sure Luke knows.
Yeah, I guess I'll do the club. I'll do the individual ones. We can do the club ones. Just to Nick Pope's down there in 12th with 5, and he didn't play a lot, but for some reason it's cutting it off. I'll have to go from 8 onwards. So Vicario for Spurs, obviously, new signing, got 7. I imagine he's played the majority of the games for them this season. Neto for Bournemouth got 7 clean sheets. We didn't really mention Bournemouth. They've had a really good season, actually, really, under Iriola. They started off sort of a bit down. When they sacked or got rid of Gary O'Neill at the end of last season, we were like, what? But Iriola's obviously come in and done a pretty good job. I think they're 12 or something, 12, so they're doing pretty good. Mark Flecken for Brentford has got a 7 as well. Emiliano Martinez, Aston Villa, has got 8. Alisson has got 8 this season as well, but I'm guessing Keller has got quite a few as well because Liverpool are bound to have got more clean sheets individually than Alisson. Somehow, Andre Onana has got 9 clean sheets for Manchester United. And he's had some howlers this season as well, has Onana. Edison has 10 clean sheets for Man City. He will have played most of them. Ortega may have played 1 or 2. Bird Leno for Fulham has got 10 individual clean sheets. Jordan Pickford, I'm not sure how this has happened. Everton, who are very much leaky at the back, Pickford somehow managed to get 13 clean sheets all season. And then up there at the top, like Luke said before, he already mentioned David Raya's got 16 clean sheets this season. Arsenal will have, I think you said, 18 in general because Ramsdale's got a few, but that makes up the individual clean sheets. David Raya up there with the Golden Glove with 16.
I was looking at club. If you look at club clean sheets, though, Arsenal have 18, which is very impressive. Or club clean sheets. That's what I was looking at. But yeah, okay. Thank you, Callum. All right, then. That pretty much concludes our 2023-2024 season review. Yes, it has been a very fun Premier League season. I can't wait to get going again with the lads in a few months' time when we do our 24-25 season predictions. But before we finish, there's a few games to predict. So I think we did this last season. So the FA Cup final, I think we're all going with Man City, aren't we? To thoroughly beat Man United. Yes, please. Okay, thanks to talk about that. We've got the Champions League final at Wembley, Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. Ooh, what a game! What a game that's going to be. I'm gonna go with Dortmund. I think everyone wants Dortmund to win because people are saying Madrid kind of cheated their way into the final with that cheeky win over who did they beat? Who did they beat in the semis? Munich, was it Munich?
Bayern Munich.
Yeah, Munich.
Bayern Munich.
They robbed us of a Munich Dortmund final. Who have you guys got?
I want Dortmund just because, Marco Reus really.
Oh yeah.
I think last time Dortmund were in the final, Reus played at Wembley, and now this final's going to be played at Wembley. So hopefully, he can redeem himself and get his last game as a Dortmund player with a Champions League medal.
Yeah.
Because Dortmund were in our group of death and we didn't make it through, I'm a little bit spiteful. So I would really like to see Marco Reus obviously in his final game for Dortmund, winning the Champions League. But I don't know. Real Madrid, do they have a bit too much? Oh, the big old Newcastle reject Hosselu. I'm gonna have to considering he got the 2 goals actually against Bayern Munich to send Madrid through. Yeah, I think Real Madrid will probably win, but again, I'd like to see Rice, like you said, get a Champions League win before he finishes.
Okay, and then to wrap up, it's the Euros this summer, lads. Woo! What was it?
Coming home, lads.
But we were born to fly. Those guests get living before it all falls down. You know that David Guetta song for the last Euros. Woo! What was it, 2016? Anyway, yes, lads, in Germany, who have you got to win? I'm just going to say it, even though I don't think England. I think we've got a very good team this summer. I think there's a very good chance this is a very good England team, full of youth and passion and talent. England.
Yeah, I think we've got.
Go on.
Sorry, Colin. I'd say this season we've got the best striker in the world. We've got the best midfielder in the world. Just the defence and Pickford's had a good season, but the defence we don't know who's going to play centre back because Stones is always injured and Maguire's Maguire. So I still think we've got one of the best squads in the tournament. I think if we get France, it'll be in the semi-finals. I think I've read they're on the same side of the tie as we are. But other than that, I think we've got a much better squad than everyone else, just other than France.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, last World Cup when we went out to France or in the quarterfinals, I think it was when Kane missed that penalty, and it was like, it was just so painful. Because we could have taken it further, obviously, and then the Euro final against Italy a couple of years ago. It's like this will probably be Gareth Southgate's final tournament as England man. I imagine he's been in the job for quite a long time, and I suppose either he wins something and he goes out on a high, or he loses and we try to replace him with someone else. It's hard to say. I want us to win, and I'll be keeping a very close eye on it. But something just tells me, Harry Kane's curse of the trophies just seems like it's going to continue forever. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Right. Yes, we certainly will. And okay, and right then, lads. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you to James, of course, earlier on in the video. We will see you all. We'll be back probably in early August. I think when the season usually starts again, isn't it? So, yeah, lads, back with our 24-25 prediction video, probably in early August, give or take. So thank you all for watching, guys. We hope you'll enjoy the Euros this summer, and we'll see you all in a few months' time. Bye, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Callum.
Cheers, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.